Okay, today we're going to learn about Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal and the Great Depression. All right, so Franklin Roosevelt was born in 1882. He was related to Theodore Roosevelt, hailed from New York, came from a very rich and influential family, went to Harvard, later to Columbia Law School, so two of the greatest schools in the entire world. Roosevelt had a very distinguished career. He was part of the New York Senate. He was known as a progressive reformer, like his cousin. Also, like his cousin, he was an assistant secretary of the Navy, which was a very important position. And this was under President Wilson. And he even ran as vice president in 1920, but lost, along with James Cox, to Warren Harding. So Roosevelt, life was good into his late 30s, and then he was stricken with polio. At the age of 39, he lost the use of his legs, and he lived the rest of his life in a wheelchair, as you can see in this photograph here. But he didn't let it stop him, and he overcame it and rose and did great things, even though he was restricted to a wheelchair. So as governor of New York, won in a landslide vote, and the Great Depression started the next year. And Roosevelt, in the state of New York, organized state relief agencies to help the unemployed, and it's a little preview of what he's going to do as president. So this depression was terrible, as you guys witnessed in the movie Cinderella Man, and President Hoover was not doing what was necessary to lift this depression and give people hope. It was the lowest point in American history to date. So Roosevelt really was one of the most important presidents we've ever had. Many consider him to be top three, up there with Washington and Lincoln. So, election of 1932, as you can see by the map, Roosevelt is going to win decisively, winning nearly every state. Interesting that our very own Connecticut voted for Herbert Hoover. But Roosevelt won 42 states to Hoover 6, and it was not even close. So, first thing Roosevelt does as president, bank holiday. All of those banks that had gone out of business during the Great Depression and people lost all their money, that's all going to change now. So he closes all the banks in America. 9 million savings accounts had been lost forever, and now banks will only reopen once they can prove that they can protect the people's money. Okay, so bank holiday, banks close down. Once they reopen for business, that money is now guaranteed by the federal government. Roosevelt's inauguration, at this time, 1 out of every 4 Americans were jobless. We're talking 25% unemployment rate, which was the worst in our nation's history, even to this day. And it looked like our economy was doomed. And Roosevelt's very famous saying, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." So he wanted to just keep trying, and even if some of his programs didn't work, that's okay. Just keep trying new ones until it worked. And Roosevelt's going to do remarkable things. So the first 100 days are a period where Roosevelt is going to just pass a whole bunch of ideas, run them by Congress, have them passed, and some of them worked really well, others did not. So all these programs are part of his New Deal, getting Americans back to work immediately. So he believed that a combination of public relief programs and also taxation of the rich, as well as borrowing money, can pump some life back into the economy. Roosevelt believed in communicating with the people. He would have fireside chats where people would turn on the radio, listen to him give speeches, and he talked in a language that they could easily understand, and sit by the fire and just try to reassure them that he was going to get them through the Depression. So he's going to fix the banks. Here's a quote here: "I assure you that it's safer to keep your money in a reopened bank than under your mattress." All right, and this really worked. Roosevelt's going to put Congress to work. He called an emergency session of Congress to get laws passed, as we talked about with the banking. And they called it the alphabet soup, all of these different programs, known as, usually abbreviated with a few letters, like the AAA and the WPA and the CCC. These are all things we're going to be learning about in class. So really quickly, the AAA, this was passed the Agricultural Adjustment Act. This was designed obviously to help farmers. The NRA, which is the National Recovery Act, which is going to set up rules and restrictions for businesses, again aimed at helping the American people. So we're going to get into these in much greater detail. This is just a little opening. The Civilian Conservation Corps, or the CCC, will offer unemployed men opportunities to work in the forestry service, planting trees, fighting forest fires, building reservoirs, and it's going to have a huge impact. There will be other programs, obviously we're out of slides here, but there'll be other programs we'll be getting into a little bit later. So your homework for tonight is to write a 2-paragraph summary of this video. Thank you.